The crystalline halls of the Vexenari diplomatic station hummed with an energy that made Indy's scales ripple with unease. She was a daughter of the Thalmori Empire, raised in elegance and trained in the subtle arts of interstellar politics. Her kind had ruled the northeastern spiral arm for 3 millennia, their four-armed grace and telepathic abilities making them natural leaders. Among the younger species and then the marriage contract had arrived. Indy stood before the viewing port, her violet eyes reflecting the swirling nebula beyond. Behind her, she could hear him, Jackson, the human, her husband of exactly 47 standard cycles. He was in their quarters, probably tinkering with something again, humming one of those strange earth melodies that seemed to calm his restless mind. She had feared him from the moment she first saw his species dossier. Humans were classified as a class for death world species, hailing from a planet so hostile that it had spawned thousands of apex predators. They were short-lived, impulsive, and horrifyingly adaptable. The Galactic Council had only granted them provisional membership 20 cycles ago, and already their reputation for chaos preceded them. The marriage was political, of course, a union to bind the Thalmori Empire with the upstart Terran Federation. Indy had accepted her duty with the stoic grace expected of her station. Even as her hearts hammered with primal fear, Jackson was devastatingly so. He never raised his voice, never made threatening gestures with those blunt, 5-fingered hands. But Indy had read the reports. Humans could run for hours without stopping. They could heal from injuries that would kill most species. They pursued prey until it collapsed from exhaustion. They were persistence predators wrapped in a veneer of civilization. Indy, his voice came from behind her, soft and careful. Always careful. The delegation from Carthax Prime just arrived. We should head to the reception hall. She turned, forcing her facial plates into a neutral expression. Jackson stood in the doorway, dressed in the formal attire that made him look almost civilized. Almost. His brown eyes, those forward-facing predator's eyes, watched her with concern. Of course, she managed, her translator rendering her musical language into flat standard. The reception was a nightmare. The Carthaxian ambassador, a hulking creature of chitin and ancient pride, had decided to use the gathering as a platform for his species' territorial ambitions. Within the first hour, he had insulted 3 delegations and implied that the Thalmori Human Alliance was a sign of weakness. Your empire binds itself to apes, the ambassador hissed, his mandibles clicking with amusement. Creatures barely out of their caves, still contaminated by the dirt of their death world. Indy felt her diplomatic training activate. She began to formulate a response, something clever and cutting that would put the ambassador in his place, without triggering an interstellar incident. But Jackson spoke first. "Ambassador," he said, his voice quiet, but carrying across the suddenly silent hall. "I wonder if you've read the full xenoanthropological reports on Earth." The Carthaxian turned, his 6 eyes focusing on the human with what might have been amusement. "I have no need to study primitives," Jackson smiled. Indy's scales went rigid. She had learned that smile. It wasn't happiness, it was something far more dangerous. "Then let me educate you," Jackson continued, walking forward with that peculiar human gait, balanced, efficient, relentless. "You see, Ambassador, your species evolved on a world with 0.6 standard gravity. Yours is a civilization built on careful resource management and long-term planning. Admirable qualities." The ambassador's posture shifted slightly, uncertain. "Earth has 1.2 standard gravity. My ancestors didn't just survive, they thrived. We turned wolves into dogs. We domesticated plants that were poisonous. We looked at birds and decided we should fly too, so we invented machines to do it." Jackson's eyes never left the ambassador. "When our world tried to kill us with disease, we killed the diseases back. When it starved us, we learned to grow food in deserts and on mountainsides." The hall was utterly silent now. Indy found herself transfixed. "You call us primitives," Jackson said, his voice dropping even lower. "But humans have a saying, necessity is the mother of invention. Every species here developed civilization on worlds that allowed it. We had to tear ours from a planet that fought us every step of the way." He stopped directly in front of the towering ambassador. "And here's what really terrifies species like yours, Ambassador. We've only been in space for 75 years. Just 75. In that time, we've colonized 14 worlds, established trade with 47 species, and developed technology that's making the Council rewrite their engineering standards. Jackson's smile widened. Imagine what we'll accomplish in 1,000 years, or 10,000. The ambassador's breathing apparatus fluttered a sign of distress in his species. So when you insult my wife's empire for allying with apes, remember this: we're the apes who looked at the stars and decided they were ours to explore. We're the apes who turned our deaf world into a garden, and we're the apes who are just getting started. Jackson turned and extended his hand to Indy. Shall we, beloved? Indy took his hand, that strange, five-fingered hand, and felt something shift in her dual hearts. This wasn't fear. This was awe. The incident became legend within cycles. The Deaf Worlders' Declaration, they called it. The Carthaxian Empire withdrew its territorial claims within a month. 3 more species fast-tracked alliance negotiations with the Terran Federation. But more than that, it changed the galaxy's understanding of what humanity represented. Not chaos, not violence, but potential, raw, unlimited, terrifying potential. That night, in their quarters, Indy finally asked the question that had haunted her since the ceremony that bound them. Why didn't you ever tell me what your species was capable of? Jackson looked up from the alien artifact he was studying because, of course, he was taking it apart to see how it worked. His smile was gentle now, genuine. Because I wanted you to see me as Jackson first. Not as a human, not as a representative of a death world species. Just me. Indy's fear hadn't vanished entirely. She suspected it never would. Humans were too strange, too dynamic, too impossibly resilient. But as she moved to sit beside her husband, watching him work with those clever, relentless hands, she realized something profound. She had feared Jackson because he was human. Now, she feared for the galaxy because it had no idea what humanity would become. And she would stand beside them as they reshaped the stars,